Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today on Inside the Vendor Sales Playbook, really focused on how industry professionals are using PhotoHub to help with their sales process. So I think we'll give everyone a minute or two to just sign on. I feel like sometimes you never know if people are Teams people, they log on to Zoom, they might need a second or two. But I think in the meantime, what I always love knowing is where everyone's calling in from. So if you want to use the chat function, you can type in where you're calling in from and also your business name as well. I feel like there's always a fun variety of people that we get on this call, so it'll be great to see. I see we have some catering companies. Windows Catering is here. Distinctive Event Solutions in LA. We have a lot of people who are still hopping on. And I am just so excited today that we have Maya, Marissa, and Emmy here with us. They are truly fantastic and have been in the business for so long amongst all of them put together, decades of experience. Not to age anyone here, but it's really incredible just the depth of experience that we have on this call and how they have all built and grown either their own businesses or become really a part of a bigger business to help grow that business as well. And so why don't maybe we'll go ahead and get started here. I would love to start off first by asking the three of you guys, Marissa, Maya, and Emmy, to do a quick introduction of yourselves and also your business and your role at the business. And so, Marissa, why don't we get started with you first?
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa Pedoni. I'm the owner and creative director of Marissa Pedoni Events. We are a full service planning and design company based in Boston, servicing all of New England.
Awesome. Thanks, Marissa. Maya, how about you next? Also, I think I saw a shout out in the chat for you.
I was
You
like,
have,
oh, hi.
yeah. Hi,
Um,
Heather. So, Maya, I would love to have you do a
sure.
quick intro for yourself too.
Yes, hi. I'm Maya Mahoney. I am the owner and founder of Honey and Lavender Events. We are a full service events company in the Washington, D.C. area, but we have traveled across the country. And so I'm just very excited to be here. I've been a member of PartySlate. I think I am dating myself maybe 4 to 5 years. So I'm just excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. And Emmy would love to have you introduce yourself and of course Devin Miller Catering as well.
Absolutely. I'm Emmy Heyman. I am the head of marketing at Deborah Miller Catering Events, where I've been for about 3 years. Deborah Miller Catering Events is a full service catering events company based in Manhattan. Our office is in Chinatown, and we cater a host of events from corporate conferences, happy hours, holiday parties to weddings, bat mitzvahs, social events. So really, the whole gamut of New York City, and it's really fun to work very closely with the sales team in the marketing arm, and Deborah herself to really make sure that we are reaching as many people as possible and making beautiful things.
A lot of beautiful images. I mean, all three of you, your work is also beautiful. And so we are here really though today to talk about Photo Hub, which is a new product that Party Slate released at the beginning of February, but we've had it in beta for quite a bit longer. And I think all three of you have been using it even before we formally launched it in February, and just really wanting to share with everyone here how you've been using it in your sales process, in your social media process, across all different assets of the business. But before we go off and do that, I know that there might be some people on the call right now who don't know about Party Slate. This might be the first time that they've heard of Party Slate. So I want to do a quick introduction to what Party Slate is before we dive into things. All right, so we are again, Marissa, Maya, and Emmy here. And really, I think one of the things that across the whole industry that everyone really talks about is a picture is worth 1,000 words. But what does that actually mean? So I'm going to share a quick story here first. This is the Four Seasons Beverly Hills. It's a beautiful space. This is the entrance hallway. And so there was a case in which the person who was selling space, they had someone come in and they really wanted this like wow-worthy moment for their guests as they walked into the hallway. They wanted to truly have that entrance really feel elevated. And it's kind of hard to envision, it's during the daytime when you walk in, it's set up as a hotel entrance, not necessarily set up for an event. And so the manager, they went in to PhotoHub and did some AI searches and pulled up this photo of what the entrance looked like fully decorated at nighttime. And this is really where they say visuals are so important. And the picture is worth 1,000 words, but I would make the argument that picture is actually worth more than 1,000 words because this is what actually secured the event for them. And here at PartySlate, we really believe that content is your currency. For anyone who is joining PartySlate or hearing about PartySlate for the first time, you might know about PartySlate mainly for our public profile, where we built it fully around really highlighting your visuals, showcasing visually what you can do, the type of work that you've done. And we've actually, though, in the last few months, taken it a step further in terms of what your content can do for you, because we know that content plays a key role across the whole decision process. So whether you have a prospective client who is currently exploring who it is that they want to work with, whether they are actually connecting with you, so they maybe have submitted something via Instagram. I hear about people DMing people all the time on Instagram or via your website, or whether they're actually getting to the part where you're creating a proposal and they're deciding on who they want to commit with. We have built a bunch of tools to try and help you leverage your content at every single stage of that process by helping you find the right photos right when you need them. And that really was the inspiration for what made us decide to invest in and develop this new tool called PhotoHub. PhotoHub is a place where you can privately store all of your images. So it is completely disconnected from your public profile. This is private storage only for you and your internal team. And we also have an AI-powered search that's built into it. And so as compared to some other storage providers out there, the search may not be that great. It may be clunky. We've actually built that AI-powered search feature specifically for the events industry. So you type in, purple flowers or pink arch, and it will find any photo that's in your library that has that. And then the next level from there, though, is we've also made it really easy for you to share it out. So we do have a Canva integration, which I know many people use. I love the Canva integration personally, where all your photos and that search automatically pulls into Canva. And we also have what we call photo boards, which is a really easy, beautiful, branded way for you to share your photos that you've chosen, maybe a select group of 10 photos, to a client via a link instead of having to worry about email attachments or worry about sending an ugly Dropbox link that definitely isn't branded. So I am just really excited today to have us talking to Marissa, Maya, and Emmy on how they've used photo boards and PhotoHub. And at the end of it, we will also show everyone how they've actually set up their photo hub so that we can, inspire hopefully everyone to make sure that they're fully leveraging all the tools. So with that, I want to ask all three of you. There was obviously a world before Photo Hub because we only launched this even in beta phase about 6 months ago. So I want to ask, maybe we'll start, Emmy, with you first. So before Photo Hub, how was your team storing and sharing the event photos? And then what changed when you did move everything over to Photo Hub?
Yeah, so we're a Microsoft kind of office, and so we have everything on SharePoint. And so we created this photo library in SharePoint where we have different albums for all of our different events, plus just a bank of photos. And then all of them I manually tagged with things like hors d'oeuvres or arch or blue flowers or church, and went through thousands and thousands, tagging all of them for things that I think would be interesting. And then if a salesperson needed some extra photos to change a proposal or something, they would type in one of those keywords. But it was very clunky. It was very manual and time consuming. And, it wasn't really useful. And so changing over to Photo Hub has been incredible because I don't have to do any of that manual tagging anymore. That's saved so much time. And it's just a quick, seamless system of downloading and sharing and searching that has, saved so much time in just looking for photos, but then also using them with so much more ease. And we're using them a lot more now because it is so easy.
I mean, how much time, I know this is going to be a guesstimate, but how much time would you say the team had spent manually tagging photos before?
Oh my God. I spent one time I had a week and I was like, all I'm going to do is tag photos because we are so delayed on just getting these up and running. And otherwise we're going to be searching for photos. And so you have to block chunks and chunks of time to do that, which now we don't have to do at all, which is kind of insane.
I feel like that really resonates with a lot of people. I mean, this is, before that's all you could do in order to find your photos, is you had to sit down and tag them. And it was literally, it's like the most painful to do.
Yeah.
It always falls to the bottom of your to-do list because
you have to make sure that you're tagging the right things. Like, oh shoot, I tagged this hors d'oeuvre and it should be plated. And then you got to go back and yeah.
Yep, that resonates. Marissa, how about you? What was your team's photo storage like before Photo Hub and what changed?
So we recently just grew our team into being two instead of one. So before, when it was just me, I was relying on my brain to remember all of the photos that I've ever received. So everything was downloaded. It usually lived on my desktop or an external hard drive, and I would just have to think back to an image that I remembered having. So, you know, now that I have a team, it was essential to have a shared location where this could all be. And so Photo Hub has been invaluable in that way. We upload everything into a private album, and then we just use the AI tool to search it. It's great because you can have different team members have their own separate logins as well. So that's been hugely helpful. So now we just like have a place where these live.
And Marissa, I mean, again, I know this is gonna be a guesstimate. How many events do you think that you had done that you just memorized in your own brain?
Oh, 50, 70,
I
100,
mean, it's
5
actually
years,
impressive. Yeah,
five
it's
to,
impressive.
yeah, it was a lot.
The fact that you could even remember 50, 100, events and all the details, because I think sometimes it can get quite specific with, if it's a specific cultural wedding or a specific venue, you really have to go back in your brain. And I would say, dare I say, it's almost impossible for a new team member to be able to get that level of memory and knowledge of 5 years worth of events before they had even started.
Definitely. And now we can like help them create the term to specifically use, like, I'm thinking of a specific photo, try searching these terms to find this exact photo.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maya, how about you with your team?
I feel like we're in between what Emmy and Marissa do. So we used to upload all of our photos to Google Photos, to our Google Drive. And so I mean, maybe we weren't using it correctly, but I don't even think you can tag on Google. So we had obviously albums and folders, but my poor social media guru spent hours. I mean, I sent her this question and she was like, "Oh my God, Maya, I don't even want to share how many hours I think you paid me to like look through these photos on Google." So, when I found out that PartySlate was doing this, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think this is going to make everyone's life so much easier and so much more streamlined." And it's also just prettier to look at. I mean, Olivia said when she was planning our social media, not that she dreaded it, but she was like, I just, had to drink a cup of coffee and gear myself up for just staring at photos for 4 hours. But this whole system has just really improved her efficiency, and just really kind of made us, yeah, fall in love with our old events again because we enjoy looking at them again.
I think it's kind of
off of
go
that
ahead.
point, I was gonna say, like, it's making me look at more photos and jogging my memory on a lot of things that we've done, because it's not like, it's easy to scroll through and to type in wedding and be like, oh my God, like, we have all these photos. Let's like put them
Yes.
into a proposal. Yeah, it's great for that.
And I think it gives us the opportunity to be more custom in what we're providing to our potential clients as well. If you are using it for a proposal, in Canva, and it's like you said, Lillian, it's linked there already. It's integrated. So being able to customize those proposals specifically to have the images that are going to appeal to those clients.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it's fun. It's like a walk down memory lane in a way where when you're doing so many events a year, it's easy to forget what you did the prior year, even if it is relevant. And sometimes I feel like people fall into the habit of I'm always using the same 5 to 10 images because it's just obviously it's what's preloaded in my Canva and it's just the easiest. Whereas now, to your point, Marissa, you can actually customize and make it truly curated for what you heard from your client during that consult call. And so I think for all three of you, I would love, and you guys have kind of referenced it a little bit, but I would love for you to walk through what happens actually when you begin speaking with a prospective client, and then where are you leveraging Photo Hub during that sales process? And maybe, Emmy, I'll start with you first.
Yeah. So as a catering company, usually when someone reaches out, we'd like to get on a phone right away to hear about what their vision is for the event, what the budget is for the event. And so our sales managers are now starting to, on that call, once they start hearing about the vision and the types of food, they'll start putting together some photos quickly and send over a link just of some examples of, like, I think this is the vibe you're looking for. This is kind of what we spoke about. Just so really out the gate, they can kind of understand our aesthetic, the type of food that we serve, the types of events we're in really quickly, so that when we do get to a proposal down the line, they're asking for food that they know that they want, that they know it's the right kind of fit for their event. So that's happening very early, the custom photo boards. And then also, all of our proposals, we're updating them seasonally. And so doing that before, just to have ready on the backhand side, has just been really great to kind of search for these photos extremely quickly. But yeah, the sales team is like infusing them right away, first touch, which is great.
I love it. People are visual in how they're making decisions.
Exactly.
And sometimes it is what will change, how they'll engage with you versus a different catering company that might also be considering.
Right. Like, this is what I think you're talking about. Let me send you some photos. We're on the same page. Perfect.
Yeah, love it. Maya, how about your team?
So I've seen it one of two ways. The first is when someone initially reaches out to book a consult, they'll, share a little bit about their event. And then if it's at a particular venue or if it's a more unique event, like, well, it's a cultural event or a different kind of corporate event, they may say, and could you share some photos of this particular venue or of events that you've done? So we do, and it's great to be able to use photo board now because again, it's really easy and it's really pretty just to send. I would say the more common though is once they book a consult, they meet with me. We, do about a 45-minute consultation. We'll go through all of the information. They will then either on the call or after say, you know what, we really like the conversation, we really like the vibe. Could you send us some photos of XYZ? And again, I used to not dread, but I used to dread when people would ask that question because that would mean I would have to go into Google and just find the photos and kind of go to Marissa's point from memory. And now I just, hit a word, Dar Constitution Hall or Indian wedding, and it just comes up with all of these amazing images and just click the ones that I think will resonate the best and then send it. And I do think it has sped up our sales process just because people are visual and they can see one if they like what they see or if they don't. And then it just carries the conversation and the process a little bit more quickly.
Yeah, I think you're allowed to say that you used to dread it. I think that's the honest truth, right? It was a process that we all used to dread because it was such a pain. And I mean, if we can help you dread one less thing, make this a little bit easier, I would call that a win. And I think what you're saying resonates so much, Maya. So I got married a few years ago now, but I really wanted to do a Chinese tea ceremony, which is a very specific cultural moment. And actually, when I talked to my planners, I asked them specifically, had you done it before? Because it impacts how you think about the flow and the, timing of the events. And it really made a difference when there was a specific example of a time when the planner had done a Chinese tea ceremony. So that really resonates when you say that. It also helps to speed up your sales process when people can actually see prior examples of your work.
Yep.
Marissa, how about yourself with your team?
Yeah, so we use it in two different ways. So in the consultation phase. So when we're vetting the client before we set up a call, I'll just kind of ask in preparation for our call. And if sometimes they'll call out specific things they've seen on my Instagram, or I often get a lot of leads direct, but that have found me on PartySlate. So I will pull images from that wedding and in a link and create a board specifically for them and send it over. And then I can include other weddings that we have done that I think would be a good fit. But we also have like existing boards that we repeatedly send out. So if they are like a timeless Boston classic vibe, if they're more of a garden inspired, or if they're more of that Cape coastal vibe. So we have those that live there and we can just continue to reshare those same links. So we kind of do it two ways. We either create a list specifically for them, where it gets the link name has their name on it, which is always really nice in conjunction with kind of our branding, or it just is a general aesthetic that already kind of exists. And then just making sure we're continuing to upload those and creating new genres of aesthetic as our design grows.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of referenced this, Marissa, but what are some of those specific examples of what you're actually searching for, or, the tags that you're trying to pull to create these curated boards?
Yeah, so I like to do a combination of like design and also emotive images. So I'm searching cheers a lot. And so like I'm loving a good like guest laughing at a table with their clinking glasses. I research a lot of like I said, emotion words. So intimate moment, or, not so much like the first look or parent dance terminology, but maybe more of like a candid black and white photo, or, and my assistant's on here, so I could ask her as well, but she's watching, but just really like emotive. And then also kind of the design aesthetic. So kind of thinking of like, detail shot of a tablescape and trying to provide like a balance between the two so that the client can really envision themselves like having that, seeing that event and also feeling the emotion that kind of comes with it.
Yeah, Maya, how about you when you're doing your searches and trying to pull up specific images?
I mean, so one of the examples that came to mind is when we're doing mood boards for clients, if they want a linen sign or if they want a specific floral arrangement. Again, if it's at a particular venue, we can just put that word in the search engine and then it just pulls up. And so it makes creating the mood board a lot more streamlined and efficient. So I would say that that's probably where we see it the most. And then again, like I said, it's funny as people will say, we want some, disco ball dancers. Have you ever done that? And we have. Now we've actually done it at a PartySlate event. So again, just to be able to search for things so specifically and be able to say, yes, this is what it looks like. Yes, it can be different for your event, but here it is. And it's just kind of like proof that yes, this can be done. We've done it.
Yeah, and that it looks awesome. And you
Yes.
should get a disco ball dancer for every party out there.
Right. I mean, why not?
Why not? Emmy, how about you? I know with catering, it probably feels a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, we're searching for like cheese and like, station like on the serve stations and shrimp cocktail and sliders, but that's really helpful. And also categories such as plated dinner or dessert station, specialty cocktail. So it's really to make sure that we can get the categories bucketed so we can show them. I mean, sometimes if it is for social media, which we really use Photo Hub for a lot, it will be like a color or a mood. So we'll like say we're doing a post and it's all about red. It's December. Well, we'll just type in red and then we'll get all of the photos that kind of, some are floral, some are food, some are dresses. So it's also really helpful just to get that kind of atmospheric collection of images.
Yeah, for sure. How often, I guess, all three, I feel like you guys have both all kind of touched on the differences between the sales process versus social media with how you've used it. But how often would you say you're tapping into it for sales versus having the social media aspect of it too being layered on top?
I mean, to be fair, I think I could be challenged more to use it for sales, because I tend to only use it when a potential client is asking me for something instead of being more proactive, where for social media, I mean, we're using it so much. I mean, it's basically changed our social media strategy in so many ways. So I loved hearing how Marissa and Emmy use it for sales. I was like, this is something I should be implementing or could be implementing. It's always something to
Yeah.
learn.
We use it a lot, maybe not specifically for social media as in like our Instagram posts, but we do use it a lot for blog and SEO. So
Yeah.
going in and, we're pretty consistent about posting blogs every other week. And so it's packed with photos. And so we are always going and searching terms that match whatever the topic is of that blog post for the week. And that's how we're pulling out our photos. I am like I mentioned, I am like using it, or we are using it in the sales process, but similar to what Maya said, like we could definitely be more consistent with it. It's kind of something that like if someone references a specific venue, then we're pulling it together, or if we have it already existing. But I think we could spend a little bit more time doing that with every single inquiry that we receive, because I think it could be the differentiator between me and another planner. And that's something that we're all always looking for.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, I think we could also use it more. But like I think getting into the habit of starting to just use photos as you're saying, like as a currency. Like, yes, we get on the phone right away and we email, but also like here's like a couple of photos like right off the bat that kind of we're excited to share with you. I think is something
that's smart.
Photo Hub has made really easy.
For sure. I'm curious how you mentioned it's really changed your social media strategy. I'd love to hear about how your social media strategy has evolved from pre-Photo Hub days to past Photo Hub days, and how I see actually someone just asked a question. How do you specifically use it for social media? So that's kind of like the perfect segue into that.
Yeah. So what we do is Olivia, who manages our social media strategy and all of the social media, we come together at the beginning of the month. We figure out, what the holidays are, kind of what our pillars are, things like normal social media strategy. But then we think through events that we want to highlight. Or did we just get new photo albums in? do we want to do a recap of previous events from the month before? And so once we have a general idea, she'll take notes and she'll say, yes, we want to have a picture of a ring. We want to highlight Stacy and Casey's wedding. She'll think of things. Then she actually goes into, because she has her login, she goes into the login in PartySlate and she'll type in, wedding ring. And then, 'cause we have a post coming up where we really wanted to showcase all the beautiful but yet different wedding rings our brides wear. And so she just typed in ring and she had like 500, photos show up and she was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And so she just chose the ones that she liked that day. And so it's just really changing the way she is using our photos for social media because I felt, and we touched upon this earlier, I felt that sometimes she would come back to me and say, Maya, we need more photos. We don't have any more photos. And I was like, we do. We've done so many.
Wait, how's that possible?
Yeah, we're doing events. We do. And again, I get it. It was just, the lethargy of just doing it and not remembering. And now she's like, oh my gosh, look all that I have to work with. So again, I would say it's streamlined social media, but it's also diversified what we're showing because she, like we all do, she got into a rut about what she was sharing, what types of events she was sharing,
Mhm.
kinds of weddings she was sharing just because it was familiar and she knew it in the back of her head. And now she's like, oh my God, look at all this stuff. So that's how it's really changed our strategy. And I will say that since all the other members of my team have logins now, before it was only Olivia or me that were uploading photos. So now we've given ownership to each of our leads to upload their own photos from their own events. And so that way they can do tags, they can assign credits, and then they also help us create the albums that our relationship manager at PartySlate creates. So again, it just has really diversified all of the amazing versatile events we've done. And so I think it's also just really rejuvenated my team a little bit, which, thanks PartySlate.
And I think it's good too, because for newer people that are coming onto your team that haven't been here for years and years, or maybe, didn't partake in a particular event and they haven't learned about it, this is a way for them to see everything that's available to them, even if they weren't a part of it, because they're not relying on our memories or their memories.
Yep.
I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges as you start scaling your team and really growing your business is when it's just you, it's totally possible. You can remember, most things, maybe not 100%, but once you start building on with your team, I mean, I've had people tell me that when they hire a new person, it's literally homework. It's like part of their onboarding process is they have to sit down and look through Google Drive or Dropbox and attempt to remember all the events. And it's, it's really difficult for someone who's new to go through and do that. Let's talk about maybe, since we've talked a little about the team, I love that your whole team has been in it. And I mean, I know you have your sales team who's actively using it too. And so what was that process like to actually train different members on your team to use it and to get them to remember? Because I will acknowledge when it's a new tool, it's sometimes hard. People forget, it's a workflow change. And so what was that like? Maybe Marissa, let's start with you first, since I know that you hired someone on your team and this was part of it.
Yeah, so I did recently hire someone back in November. And so it kind of like went hand in hand with when this was happening. So she was actually pretty integral about setting up our behind the scenes, like setting up our photo hub. So having her go in and, sending her the links from we used to have an Excel spreadsheet where all the wedding album links lived. And so sending that over to her and having her go in and create it. So it's been nice to kind of build it up together. So I didn't have to necessarily go back and teach her how to do it. She's pretty much like in line with me. We had, our albums that everyone used to see, but we, that allowed her to familiarize herself with previous events as well. So now it's secondhand nature. I mean, we're both in it. That is the sole place where we go to look for photos. So it's second nature at this point.
And Emmy, how about you with your team?
Yeah, so we were in the beta, which was awesome. And we had a call right when all of our images migrated over. We had a call with PartySlate and the entire team sat in and they walked us through how to use it. And so as a team for an hour, we followed the webinar and we were trying to figure out how to use it. And then we set up subsequent calls, I think a week after, just internally. And we went through how to use it. They got behind me at my desk showing how we use it, made sure we all had logins and played around with it. I also think we definitely repetition is good. And so when we went to the PartySlate event in New York, you guys were also talking about it. So it was a third time that we were understanding how to use it. And I think it's just like reminding us to just try and play around with it has been really helpful.
Yeah, and I will say, so I oversee a lot of our customer success team. And so anyone who is a PartySlate member, you do have someone who is here truly for you to leverage. And so, I mean, I love that you actually had your whole team there for a walkthrough with someone at PartySlate, because I also feel like it's a lot to put on you to, you're learning the tool for the first time and now you're tasked with teaching it to everyone else. That's really hard. And so lean on whoever it is that your point of contact is at PartySlate. Pull them in for that internal team meeting, have them do the walkthrough. And honestly, even if you need it done twice, 3 times, it's okay. We get it. And we are truly, truly here to help and just wanting to make sure that it's as easy as possible. Maya, how about you with your team?
Similar to Emmy, we were part of the beta, so we were very lucky to be able to do a call and a webinar. And so Olivia, since I knew right after me, she would be pretty, maybe even sometimes a little bit more than me, be more in PartySlate. So she and I joined the call. It was very informative. They walked us through everything. And I knew once I had Olivia's buy-in, then it would be easy to convince the rest of our team to do it. And so that's exactly what we did. In our next weekly meeting, we talked about PartySlate, Photo Hub, all of the things, and shared what we had learned. And then by the next couple weeks, everyone was like, I want to log in, I want to do it. And so again, also to PartySlate's credit, it's very user friendly. So when we shared it with the rest of our team for other people, we didn't really have to do much training. We basically said, this is your login. Feel free to, look at our PartySlate profile. Yes, of course, we shared instructions on how to get to Photo Hub and how to use it, but everyone just ran with it. So it's really a testament to you all that it's so user friendly. So it makes selling it to our team members a lot easier.
I love hearing that, Maya. I mean, that really is the goal. And our product team works so hard to try and make it as user-friendly as possible. And so I really love hearing that. And what was that setup process like for you, for all three of you, I guess, but Maya, we can start with you first. Because when, you had everything on Google, I'm sure you've been in this industry for a while, so I'm sure there was a lot of content on Google. So what was that like, just getting everyone to get used to Photo Hub, and then also, of course, getting the content into Photo Hub too?
Well, luckily, you all did our migration, so that saved a lot of time on the back end. Honestly, my team loved them. I don't think they particularly loved the Google setup anyway, so they were just very eager to learn something new. But, they had known that Party Slate was something that I used as a tool and as a platform. And so they had already, quote unquote, had the buy-in for Party Slate anyway. But once we shared what it would look like and how it was to actually utilize, they were like, yeah, Maya, no, we're doing that. We're not doing Google anymore. Let's do Party Slate. Like it just makes sense. And it's a lot easier. It's a lot prettier. And it's a lot more enjoyable. So from my end, a lot, because you guys did a lot of the heavy lifting with, moving all of our photos. It was really pretty seamless, to tell you the truth.
I love hearing that. And that is, I think for any of our PartySlate members who are on this call, that is something that we're doing for all of our members, is a one-time Photo Hub transfer to really just help get you set up. Because I feel like, Maya, your story of everything I have for so many years worth of work is in Google Drive. I want to use this, but how do I just get it all over? We recognize that it's a thing. It's a thing to think about, how do you transfer everything over? And so luckily, I mean, we have an incredible team here where we've built out kind of a system to help you transfer all of your photos from Google Drive, from Dropbox, from SharePoint, wherever it is. We've probably seen it all onto Photo Hub. And then I love that you actually afterwards set up a system where every single salesperson that you have knows how to also make sure to keep it updated and just upload new photos in there themselves once you have your whole old history uploaded in there. Is that right?
Yeah, and I would say honestly, it's helpful to them because, I hope that they're going to be at Honey and Lavender forever, but it's also helpful because they have a portfolio, right? And they have that right and that ownership because they've done beautiful events. So however they want to share it, however they want to, add it to their resume or their career, I'm happy to provide that because they did it. So it's definitely an incentive that way as well.
That's awesome. And Marissa, how about for you and your team?
Yeah, honestly, I think again, we were all kind of part of the beta phase, so I'm not really familiar with how. I think everything just kind of showed up for us, which was really nice. So, but anytime I've ever kind of reached out to my, relationship manager, they've always been super communicative, super eager to hear. You guys have been wonderful about like if there was a a back end glitch or a potential like suggestion that I had. You guys are always like very open and listen to it and implement things. So it's been a very smooth process. I think what's been a big benefit to the Photo Hub also is that I know a lot of people may use like separate platforms like a P Cloud where they're storing things and you're paying for that. And we're investing in our businesses through PartySlate, and that comes at a multi-level tier, which and to have this kind of included in that is that much more beneficial. I think I've always kind of been like on the diatribe of like PartySlate isn't like originally like it's not a lead generation platform, it's for SEO optimization. And I've really tried to hammer that home to people that don't quite want to take the leap. And I've just always loved how it makes my business look, the way that it lays everything out. It's like very editorial style. And so having it now have this like place where all of my photos can live privately and publicly, just doubled the value in my opinion, truthfully.
I love that. Emmy, I know it's everyone who was part of the beta, it's been many months, I know, since the setup phase occurred. So maybe it's been a while back, but do you remember what it was like?
It was, I think, very similar to what both Maya and Marissa said. I like gave, access to all of our folders on SharePoint, and they uploaded all of them. I was like, are you sure this is going to be like, are you sure you can take all of these photos? And they all were uploaded in our same naming conventions and folders that we had them in. So everything is still bucketed in albums by weddings, by bat mitzvah, which has been super helpful. And then now whenever I get an album from a photographer after an event or we have a photo shoot, I upload them right away. And it's, I'm trying to make that be a habit of as soon as we receive any kind of photography that goes right up onto Photo Hub.
I love it. Okay, one last question before we dive into actually showing people what your photo hubs look like. If someone were attending today that don't currently use Photo Hub, what would be the one recommendation that you would have for them on one thing that they should implement into their workflow in the next week? Maya, I'll start with you. Emmy, let's start with you. I love it.
I think I think creating categories, very similar to what Marissa said, to have those on the ready, whether that's for us, groups of hors d'oeuvres and beautiful plated dinners, or for you, Cape Cod aesthetic weddings, and having kind of like the classics on hold so you can go and use them is super, super helpful for us. I know we have to start doing that a lot more. We have just wedding albums, but really doing them by theme or by, meal service, I think has been really helpful and is going to continue to be really helpful. We're also very excited for the day where we can start adding our own tagging to it. So, it's not just, a cheese hors d'oeuvre, it's our goat cheese bonbon. And so we can kind of search by name. But yeah, creating those kind of rinse and repeat categories, I think is super helpful.
Yeah, we do have custom album tagging is a feature.
I was like, we have that, don't we? Because
it's not photo by photo yet. But you can tag the whole album with whatever custom tagging you have. And Annie, when you say creating categories to have on the ready, are you talking about the photo boards that you have pre-created?
Yes. Because as of now, we have like, Marsha's wedding and, Eli's bat mitzvah, but then having just like plated dinners and like outdoor stations as a category, I think is going to be more helpful for us.
And I would even say for people that are looking to expand or, to answer your question is if there are venues or styles that you want to do more, but maybe haven't, using those to showcase and start sending those out more as well to kind of just create, but very similar. I mean, so like having them already ready. So like, we've done a lot of Boston Public Library weddings. And so we have like ceremonies at the Boston Public Library, or we have, your cultural ceremonies. We've done like Lillian, we were talking about a tea service. So a tea ceremony, excuse me. So having those like blanket categories available, it saves you so much time alone.
Yeah, I love it. Maya, how about you?
So I would say photo boards if that was what you were going to implement. Olivia would say the search engine and vendor tags. She swears by the categorized vendor tags that you were talking about. So
yeah, like the when you're in there giving credit to this is the venue that we hosted the event at. I'm excited to show people because it's so easy then to filter by the specific venue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, why don't
we need to grow that way? Don't show mine for that. We haven't been very good about the tags. We're good for boards.
Good for
Yeah.
searching.
Yeah.
I think it's cool to see how everyone has kind of used it in their own way. Well, why don't we dive into it in the last 10 minutes or so? And I want to show people what this actually looks like. So we will start, Marissa, we'll start with yours first. So this is your public profile. This is what everyone publicly can see when people are searching for Boston planners. This is a public page that we see, and obviously your profile looks beautiful. You have a ton of content here. And then on the right-hand side, I'm going to click here and that'll take us to your photo hub. So again, as a reminder for everyone, this is private. So this is only accessible to Marissa and her team member. And I want to show people albums because I can see here that you've uploaded a ton of your content here for private storage as well. So I want to hear a little
all
bit
of
more
it.
from you on
Yeah.
how you're using it.
Yeah, so because like I said, everything lived in my head before, being able to put the entire album. So some of them, the newer albums and the newer clients are fuller. So if you could like Private Jill and Ted over to the right, actually not that one. Sorry. It's gorgeous, but I want to respect their privacy specifically. Yeah. So this one I have like full sharing rights. But so Jill and Ted, I just downloaded everything that Marcella Diaz, the photographer for this, everything that she created. So now we have anything that I could possibly want. Previously, I was kind of going through and we were vetting the photos, but at this point for our back of house use, having everything and then searching the terms. I really do use the search bar that way. But I think so then you guys so kindly, this was when I sent this to my relationship manager to create a public album for it. You guys went in and added all of these tags, which is great. So we need to get better about doing that on our private galleries.
Yeah, I love this. So all the tag partners are here. So it's easy also for you to keep track of what venue, photography, all of the information. And I've seen just so many different versions of how people have tried to store this information in the past, or sometimes maybe it's Dropbox and you have a Word doc, or sometimes it's just the album name has the photographer's credit, but then you don't actually have all the other credits. And it's, this is what I mean when I say that we have truly designed this tool for the events industry, because our industry is so unique that to hold, for these beautiful photos to come to life, there is such a big team behind it. And also whenever you're working with a client, they're going to ask, who did the flowers or who did the catering? These are all questions that they're going to have, and you can now easily pull it up for them.
And I really like, because with this, we can, I lost my train of thought, but like being able to have everything tagged in there. Then when we want to pull photos to Instagram, we can just copy and paste all the handles as well. As previously we were using like a social media spreadsheet, which was an Excel that had, the tags of everybody, but this just makes it so much easier. We don't have to go back and forth. It was literally like the date of the event, the name of the client, the tags, and then like a link to the photographer's album. And those don't live forever. So this is super helpful.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just showing right here in this album, because you tagged all your partners, it's so easy for you to click copy Instagram handles. And I know that social media is a question that everyone has on their mind of how do we get better and more efficient at social media. And so this is one way. And I'm actually going to just show people quickly. If I click edit album, the way that you add your tagged partners is I'm not going to save this down, Marissa. I'm not going to mess anything up, but you just type in, let's just type in Boston something here, and it'll pull up all these options. And if they have a profile with PartySlate, their Instagram handle actually automatically pulls in. So that's not something that you then have to go off and search for. It's already built into the system, which is a big time saver. Then I do want to show the photo boards, since I know you've referenced, Marissa, how you've been using photo boards. I know you mentioned blogs. It sounds like you are every single week pulling different blogs and different use cases here for, it looks like some submissions for publications too.
Yes. And actually not all of them are showing up there, because we do have, and that's weird. I don't know, maybe they expired or maybe they're just in the albums and we haven't moved them. But if you click back on the albums, we do have the albums that are integrated by category. So there should be like one, if you scroll down, it's like garden, right here up on the top left a little bit, like garden romantic. So actually we I think if you scroll up couple more times up on, here we go, garden. So that should be made into like a board. So that needs, I need to move those over.
I love this. This is beautiful. I mean, again, to your point on just theme and mood, I mean, it's bright, it's airy, it's easy for someone to understand what it feels like here.
Yeah.
Looks like you have modern editorial.
Yeah, we had several, so those need to be moved over to photo boards. Hopefully, Alexa, take this down as a note, please. Thank you.
I mean, I love it. This is so great. Do you mind if I click into another one?
No,
just to
go
see?
right ahead. Yeah, please.
Okay, awesome. And how, when you were sitting down and creating this, what terms were you searching and how long did it take for you to put this together?
Yeah, so this was a one we did this initially. So we have a quiz that we send out, and kind of the results were linked to these pages and then are ultimately linked to our Pinterest and our email marketing. So it was very quick. You know, we searched a lot of terms like ballroom or Boston, classic. We kind of Boston Public Library. We knew specific words to search for that we wanted to like bring up onto these pages. So that was really helpful. But it definitely turned up a lot of options that, you know, we may not have really thought about, like the oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but the public garden photo over to the third row on the left. You know, I didn't specifically search for any photos from the Boston Public Garden, but this one came up. And so we were like, this is a classic. We need to include this in the album. So not specific to just the venue, but some of the formal photos, which can oftentimes kind of fall by the wayside from a planner perspective because they're so personal. So I wouldn't necessarily send like someone's family photo to another client, but that one, you know, shows a different vibe for a style.
I love it. Maya, why don't we move on to Honey and Lavender? So this is your public profile. So again, this is what people would see if they were to search top event planners in DC, for example. And you have, I mean, I think you must be setting a record here, Maya, with 110 galleries here. I mean, it's beautiful. It's so great. It's such a great way to showcase the depth of work that you have done. And then let's just go here. And I want to access your photo hub. So why don't you talk me through, Maya, how you and your team are using Photo Hub? And I know that this has really become that Google Drive replacement for you. So no one is in Google Drive anymore.
Oh.
They're all here in Photo Hub.
Yeah, so like this is our private facing. So I know Julie always says back of house. So I don't care if it's an actual event, if it's, you know, happy hour, BTS from event. I just want all of the photos from everything that our team does here. And so all of the events go here, all of the photos go here. Obviously, then we're a little bit choosier with what we share on our public profile. But again, you just never know. Like when you want to make a reel or you again want to share photos or you know you're doing a styled photo shoot, like you don't know when you're going to need all kinds of different photos. So again, I just like having everything in one central spot. I like it being easily searchable. I mean, it's even just fun to scroll and remember, oh yes, we did that fire dancing party. And so I think again, it just has really made us more organized and more intentional with how and what we share.
Maya, I want to do an example search term so everyone can see how that AI search works. So what's an example term that you recently searched within here?
Let me see. Well, let's just because you mentioned it. Why don't you look up Chinese tea ceremony?
Yeah,
So
there we go,
interesting.
right here. There's a Chinese tea ceremony shot. There's another, oh yeah, all of these. This one for sure. There's a beautiful, I love that teapot. It's so beautiful. Um, yeah, right here. I mean, it's pulling up, again, it's not perfect. It is
Not
AI
perfect
still, so it's
again,
pulling
but
up a lot of
it's
other ceremonies,
Yeah.
but it is, maybe actually if we try Chinese tea,
yeah,
that
sure.
actually, oh, there we
There we
go.
go.
It's a little bit more specific even though, and so now, I mean, there's a lot of great examples.
And that's more user error. I often have to amend what I'm writing to get the
Yeah.
images that I'm hoping for, and it's just trial and error.
Yeah, totally, for sure. And then let's talk a little bit, Maya, about so you've obviously, again, this has taken over your storage from Google Drive. And so when you're uploading things in here, do you have a specific way of organizing or have you asked your team to upload in a certain way?
Yeah, so obviously for all public albums, there's a naming convention, but my director of operations, who is very type A, she's very specific about how even she wants our private albums. So, and sometimes when people don't follow don't follow it, she'll go in and change it. So usually, because again, it's us, like we know what we're talking about. It'll be Carly and Pat engagement photos or Rita and Harrison wedding. Because again, we generally all know what we're talking about, but obviously when it's a public album, no one, you know, not that no one cares, but you know, the people that are looking don't really care about the names. So it is a little bit different, but I would just say our private albums are a little just more tongue in cheek because it's the team will know what we're talking about versus what is on our public profile.
Yeah, I'm with you, Maya. I mean, for the public side, you're really thinking about wanting to create that captivating headline to draw someone in. It's descriptive. No one knows who Carly and Pat are, so probably don't on the public side call it Carly and Pat because that won't mean much. But on the private side, you can almost think of it exactly how you maybe used to name stuff in Google Drive or Dropbox, where it is just a little bit more literal and more, where the venue is or the couple's name. And I actually want to show filters. So when you do tag your partners, you can actually go in here and filter specifically by your tag partners. And so maybe what's a venue that you've done a lot of work at?
Do National Museum of Women in the Arts.
Okay, perfect.
We've done a
So
lot of there.
I just filtered for that. And so now it's pulling up specifically, you did a corporate event here. Oops, there we go. Let me just, national.
There we go.
Yeah, some corporate events, you have a wedding here. And so of course you have to go in and tag the partner. So there might also be other events in here that aren't currently tagged, but it is just a really nice, quick, easy way to remember, hey, I have these events from before. If you have a client who's looking to get, married or do a corporate event there, it is just a lot easier for them now to go in and pull up exactly what, prior work you've done there.
And I want to say for a lot of our potential client consults this year, that's a question we get the most is, can you send us photos of weddings you've done in venue XYZ? Where last year, no one ever asked that. And again, I think it just goes to show you that couples every year are different in terms of what's important to them. But we have used that search function the most this year because it could be across 10 different venues and everyone wants to see one if we've actually done an event there. But, so it's just interesting to see what couples are asking every year too.
For sure. All right, Emmy, let's take a look at Deborah Miller Catering and Events. Again, public side, what consumers will see. Beautiful gallery here too. Again, you guys have done so many events as well. And then if I scroll to click on Photo Hub, so this is your Photo Hub.
Yes, and similar to Maya, like all of our photos, our main library.
Yep, I love it. So no more, you said what, you were using SharePoint before?
Yeah, SharePoint.
No more SharePoint, goodbye SharePoint.
Exactly.
This is where everything lives. And so tell me more, Emmy, about how you've been using this as your storage system, how you've been organizing things.
Yeah, so I'd say very similar to Maya. We upload them and we have our own kind of naming, the Pima Bat Mitzvah, Rick and Andrea wedding. And so we'll used to have the photographer's name in there in the venue. Now we really need to start putting them in the tags. And so this is really, again, we're tagging them or we're bucketing them by event. We've started slowly doing the boards, but I really think using the search function has been extremely helpful, if we're looking just for plated dinners or our tech house where we've done a lot of different events instead of looking at all the different albums. Everything that we've done at our tech house, for example, has been super helpful.
Yeah, let's take a look at well, let's see if it's tagged. I know you mentioned.
I wrote a note, make sure to go through.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at your photo boards here. So, because I know you have a few. I know there's maybe more that you want to build out. Is there a good one here that I could show people? Maybe.
I mean, this proposal provider is honestly interesting because, when it comes to asset creation and asset management, very similar to social media. This is just, we need to update our assets, our website, our social, our emails all the time. And so I've kind of created these boards to, house the best of the best images that I want to use for those kind of external facing collateral pieces. So
I love this. And I also want to show people, here's an example that you have of maybe brunch, breakfast, sandwich bites. And so this is your internal view. But if I were to click copy public link, I just want to show people what this looks like. If you were to publicly share this, and it's branded Deborah Miller Catering and Events at the top. This is set so that the link never expires, but that is up to everyone's control, where you could set it for 1 week expiration, 2 weeks, 3 weeks if you want to maintain control of your content. And then what's I think kind of cool is then it creates this beautiful slideshow for anyone who's receiving that link to click through. And it takes just a few seconds for you to search breakfast probably or brunch and create that photo board and then actually share this out in a way where before you would probably have to create a PowerPoint deck, drag those images in order to have it all be branded and just really clean and easy.
Yeah. And I do find that also rather than downloading the photo and attaching it, it's so much easier to have a link when you're receiving an email than to open an attachment. So that's also just really nice.
Yes, I also feel like the issues that I've seen when you are attaching images, sometimes the file image size, if it's really high res, is so large that you actually have to resize it. It's like one more step. You have to resize it, then send it out. Otherwise, you get a bounce back.
Mhm.
Sometimes Gmail hates attachments, so it might get caught in spam, which that really breaks my heart because then your email is just never seen by anyone. And then one last thing I want to show everyone here, because I know we've referenced Canva a little bit. So we do have a native integration with Canva. Tara, who's on the call right now, she's on our marketing team. She's going to drop a link in the chat for anyone who doesn't currently have Canva integrated. Or if you're in your PartySlate, you can always click on integrations and then click launch on Canva. And so this takes just a few seconds to set up. I want to show people what it looks like though, because it is so easy. When you click that link, it'll take you to this little box. You'll want to click that little purple button. You'll click connect, connect again. It'll ask you to allow access. And then now all the photos that you have in Photo Hub automatically pull through. So mine is set to PartySlate because that's the account that I have access to. But let's say I am trying to design a proposal or put together a mood board. And I know Maya and I were chatting earlier and we're saying, oh, maybe someone had a really specific ask about wanting disco balls at their event. And I know I've done a disco related wedding before, event before, but I don't remember. I can now type in disco and within 2 seconds, it just pulls into my Canva. And so this is a great time saver because you don't have to download, re-upload. It takes out that one extra step. And now you actually do have your whole library at the tips of your fingers. And I think Marissa, you were referencing that you use this as well for a lot of Canva. You know, I think a lot of people here use Canva.
Yeah, for like any proposals, it just lives. So like obviously when you start doing it from PartySlate, it brings you up to that like square. But when you're in Canva, if you're in your actual project, that if you scroll to the bottom, there's that PartySlate icon. And so everything is just integrated. You could drag and drop it over and then link it. So it's super helpful, especially when you're trying to tailor things, which who doesn't like something that appears custom?
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think we are just about to run out of time here with everyone, but I think before we all go, I do just want to throw out this QR code. I know we've referenced a lot of different things on this call from, you know, if you want help training your team on how to use it, if you want to do that, you know, that transfer process from SharePoint, from Google Drive, from wherever your photos currently live onto Photo Hub so that you can leverage all these tools that we've talked about. Scan this QR code so that you can get in touch with we'll put you in touch with the right person on our team to help talk to you about it. Maybe you don't have access to Photo Hub and you're curious and you want to use it, and you want to learn more. This is also the right place to go to scan, just put in your information and someone on our team will reach out to you to make sure that we can walk you through it, get you access to all these tools that we talked about here today. And with that, I do want to just say thank you so much to Marissa, Emmy, and Maya. I feel like we probably could have kept this conversation going for many more hours because there's just so much knowledge that you all have on the call. And so thank you for just bringing all of it to the call, for sharing everything with our PartySlate community here.
Of course.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you. I'm so happy that this exists. Really.
Yeah, really beneficial. Doubled the value, I told you.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you all and have a good rest of your Wednesday, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.